This episode is sponsored by Exactuals, perfecting insurance payments and the data driving them. Thank you very much for, stepping outside of the hustle and bustle. I appreciate that. How is Andrew doing?
He's good. He is rocking and rolling. He leads our partnership team and kind of helps engineering know what needs to be built out. But the things that they've been able to do since we raised the last funds is incredible. It's really it's opened up an entirely new channel for us that's growing really rapidly. So he's doing great.
And you raised Sorry, go ahead.
No, he works from home right now. I'm fully vaccinated. He is about to be. So as people get fully vaccinated, we're going to kind of welcome them back into the office. I think working from home for a year was great, but I think every business can benefit from their people being back together.
Oh yeah, I miss it. I'm fully vaccinated now, and I miss people as much as I enjoy, my little walks around the neighborhood. That's not it. Yep. Even the Zoom conference and all that stuff, I missed, just sitting down with coffee or whatever with someone and talking business and gossip,
Absolutely.
But mainly business. Good. So I'm happy to hear that you're good. Andrew is good. I saw that the team is growing. How is that during COVID?
Oh man, it's weird. It's great, but it's weird. I mean, we have maybe 20 employees that I've never met in person before.
No kidding.
We've hired them over Zoom or Google Meet or whatever it is, and we agreed everything. And like, okay, we're going to hire you, we're going to pay you, and I'm going to send you a $2,500 laptop and send you some, allow you to expense anything you need to kind of set up your home office. And that's kind of a weird feeling when you can't actually shake someone's hand or look them in the eye for real. But it's going pretty well. But I do believe that, we're all experiencing COVID fatigue and we want to get back together. Maybe I don't expect it to ever be like what it was before, where we're in the office 5 days a week, but maybe 2 or 3 days a week, people come into the office. If there's any planned meetings, we'll come into the office. But, our office here now is set up more like a WeWork just for Layr. It's not WeWork, but it's like that just for Layr. And I think that's how we'll continue to expand that office. So we will never need anywhere near the amount of square footage that we had planned prior to COVID, just because it's going to be, bring your laptop, there's going to be monitors everywhere, you can plug in and get to work.
So you are based in Atlanta. Is the entire team is in Atlanta or around the
bulk
US?
of the team's here. We have folks in Florida, Virginia, Chicago, Seattle, and Atlanta. Yeah.
Remind me, you started as a broker or an underwriter?
I started as a broker. I wasn't smart enough to be an underwriter. So I was a sales guy. So you gave me a product, I'd go find someone to sell it to.
So, and that was mainly, especially in commercial, that was face-to-face. Were you the golf kind of person, or?
Yeah, I was really bad at it. I hated golf. I'm not really allowed on.
You have the Under Armour shirt, so I wasn't sure.
No, I mean, I love the shirt, but yeah, I was really bad at golf. But it was door to door. It was networking. It was entertainment like golf, but I didn't play golf much with clients or underwriters.
So moving from that, let's call it tight relationship building and that intimacy, reading, the entire table, the body language, and moving to Zoom and hiring 20 people, that's a challenge. So how do you overcome that? And I'm sure that other startups and other companies, it's not limited to startups, it's everyone.
It's everyone, yeah.
How did you overcome that?
So I'm not going to take credit for it. Andrew built a hiring rubric for his department, and it was really, really good. So we evolved it into finance and customer success and partnerships, basically engineering every department. So we took the foundation of what he designed, which really allowed us to have very consistent interview processes with any individual. And the only variability that was in those was what the candidate brought to the table. And that's what we could all talk about. So when a candidate came through, they would, we'd have a quick kind of screening 15-minute call to make sure they're not a serial killer, and just make sure they kind of understood what was going on with our company as a whole, and we can learn a little bit about their background. Then we would send them a set of questions we needed them to answer. So call it 6 to 7 kind of personal questions, things that motivate them, drive them, interest them, and then 3 to 4 kind of role-specific questions to kind of tie it into the position we were hiring for. And if we got past that, again, this is like reinforcing the fact that they're not a serial killer, and we'd actually like to grab a beer with them if we could see them in person. And also we can see at a very high level, yes, they have the skill set that is needed for this role. Then they'd move on to the next step, which is the more traditional interviewing process where they would meet with their department head, maybe a few of their potential peers, and then we'd rate them. Basically, are they an A player, are they a B player, or are they F player, right? So we don't want D's or C's. We definitely don't want F's. But B's, we can help become A's if they want to. If they don't want to be an A, there's always a place for a B player. But if they're A players, these are the folks we definitely want to lock up now and help drive the company and the team and get us to where we need to be.
Yeah. Maybe at this point we should actually do like an official introduction. Yeah, we can do that, or give people a little bit of background about who you are, what you guys do, and who is this Andrew guy that we keep referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let me do like a quick introduction. Hello, everyone. Today I'm talking to Phillip Naples. And now, after I've done the introduction, just the name, right? I need to say that you're the CEO and co-founder of Layr. Is it Layr or Layr Insurance?
It's Layr.
Layr. Because I still have somewhere a photo of Layr of London. And I need to find that. I need to find that picture. Yeah. But yes, please introduce yourself. Layr, Andrew, and then Layr.
Sure. So my name is Phillip Naples, co-founder, CEO of Layr. I've been, call it, in the insurance brokering space for a little over 2 decades. Started my career when I was in high school at Aon. High school, yep. I was one of the few people who did not fall into insurance. I actually went to Georgia State to get a risk management and insurance degree. At the same time, did a internship with Beecher Carlson right before they reacquired themselves, I think, from American Re, and then moved into the wholesale side, working on cyber liability products, technology professional liability products, back when they were literally just being developed, so early 2000s. And this wholesaler is actually credited with writing the first policy ever. So that's really where I cut my teeth in insurance, and I was working with, call it, the largest retailers, but on their e-commerce arm, building out these products for them. So that was really fun. And then I moved to the retail side, where I started experiencing all the challenges that brokers face when trying to sell commercial insurance, and also hearing the challenges that customers faced when they tried to buy the coverage from their broker. And that is kind of, we can dive into that a little bit further, but all of that is what kind of helped me build what is today Layr. My co-founder, Andrew Eganis, actually was a client of mine when I was slinging insurance the old-fashioned way, which is still very important to do, because there are certain organizations that do require a very consultative touch and feel. But then there's others that need more of a quick and dirty, here's what you need, why you need it, what it's going to cost, and transact, let's go get it. But Andrew is a former client of mine, and he actually fired me as his broker for all the reasons why business owners fire their insurance broker. His background is in the e-commerce and marketing space. He was able, back when Google would give you raw search data, able to build an algorithm to determine products that Amazon at the time was doing a poor job of selling, and then built a business based upon where Amazon didn't do well. That was around selling car covers, like literally a cover that you put over your car to protect it. So he built a great $20 million business. That's the one I was working with. He fired me. But fast forward, when I looked to start Layr, I'm like, hey, I know that digital distribution is going to be key and critical, and he did a really good job of doing that with car covers. So we made up, and here we are today. So he's my co-founder and head of product now, and is really leading the strategy and the evolution of what our technology is doing today and will be doing, if you will, tomorrow. Layr at a high level. So today, I'm going to talk about it, the way I'll describe it is the way it is today, but I'm sure that you'll want to talk more about what the vision is, and it will continue to evolve, and we're laying the groundwork for that. But today, Layr is it's a AI-powered insurance broker that works with small businesses across the U.S., helping them secure, pay for, and manage commercial property and casualty insurance. We do that with some technology we've created that first emulates the intelligence of the insurance broker so that we can provide a highly tailored insurance policy recommendation for the particular business that's coming through the platform. So think of types of policies they need, how it needs to be structured, added endorsements, so forth and so on. The next step is based on technology we've created that has the capability of predicting insurance company pricing and appetite. So what this basically means is that we have the ability to underwrite with pinpoint accuracy, but since we don't hold the pen, meaning we don't take the risk, we're not an insurance company, we call it prediction. But what it does allow us to do is apply that pinpoint pricing to the policy recommendation that was generated literally a second earlier, and now the customer has a tailored insurance policy, insurance proposal and price that we actually let them pay monthly with a credit card if they want to, in a matter of seconds. So what traditionally took a small business owner, weeks, if not months, to obtain, we can show them exactly what they need to purchase and what it's going to cost them in a matter of minutes. And we do this all without connecting to any insurance carrier API, which makes it a little more unique. But when the customer says, yes, that's the solution I want, our technology knows which insurance company product is a right fit. So, for example, if the client says, I want general liability, workers' comp, and cyber, and they pay for it with us and they move forward, our technology knows that the GL needs to go with Chubb Insurance, the workers' comp needs to go with Coterie, and the cyber needs to go with Coalition. And it will send it to those underwriters or underwriting systems for acceptance. So it really allows our carriers to have industry-leading hit ratios when they're working with us. So that's the company. We deploy it primarily through broker partners. So all this technology has allowed us to onboard and manage small businesses very, very efficiently. And we have what Andrew and team have been working on and have deployed late last year is a version of our technology that can be white labeled to an insurance broker. So now the insurance broker could not only roll on all of their current small business clients and achieve all the same efficiencies that our technology has provided to them, they now have the ability to open up a digital storefront and actually drive new small businesses to it in a very profitable manner because they don't have to do any of the servicing costs, onboarding costs, underwriting, placement. Our technology does all of that for them. So we've been hitting the ground and signing up clients and partners left and right and onboarding hundreds of customers at a time through our broker partners just by leveraging the technology that we were using for ourselves up until we raised the funds.
No. So yeah, thank you very much for the description of Layr and how it works. So it seems to me that, well, basically you are a Layr in the space.
So I can see how we are a layer in the platform. Really, we're an efficiency play for brokers. Our core thesis is always around supporting the small business owner. And what we figured out is by being laser focused on that small business owner, we're actually able to unlock value that the brokers and the carriers have never seen before. And the reason for that is because most of the technology today is primarily supportive of the broker or the carrier, not the customer. So we're the opposite of that. By being completely supportive of the customer requires that a broker and a carrier are involved. We view ourselves as not a disruptor like every other InsurTech kind of views themselves. We view ourselves as an enabler. By using our technology, using our processes, and believing in our core thesis that we need to 100% be supportive of the small business owner, it is going to create massive value creation for the broker as well as the carrier, and that's how we will always operate. Where we see Layr actually evolving to is becoming, if you will, the insurance rails. So we want to be able to create some technology, and we're in the process of doing this right now, that is the smoothest and frictionless way to move an insurance policy from a carrier all the way down to an insurer. And there's not a unified set of rails out there today. Every carrier has kind of their own set of rails. Every broker has their own set of rails. And there's all these intersections that I think create the challenges we see today with a small business owner or a regular business owner obtaining the coverage, the broker trying to sell it, and the carrier trying to offer it. So we want to be the rails that just allow that commerce to go very smooth and efficiently. And we're, if you will, on the second step of 3 steps of laying that foundation. But once that foundation is completely, what is completely live and laid on the ground, then what we see is it acting more like a platform that other organizations can build their applications, if you will, on top of it to enhance the experience of that policy transitioning from the carrier down to the customer. So as an example, if Layr is the rails, here's the customer, here's a carrier, we could just go straight from carrier to customer, or we could inject a broker on top of it, and that broker is now providing guidance to the customer on which carrier that they should go to. They could do it a different way. We can inject a claims management piece to it that allows the customer to manage and understand the claims that they potentially could incur or the ones that have occurred, and it just flows through that rails between the customer and the carrier. So unlike others that look at this whole process as a big flywheel that continues to spin and go faster and faster and faster, we think it is something more simple than that. It is simply just a straight line from the customer, the person buying the insurance, and the carrier, the entity that is providing the coverage. And then we build upon that to enhance that experience.
So how do you slice and dice the industry? Because it's important to understand. For me, I'm just curious about how you see the industry, especially commercial insurance, works today. Because we have, the incumbents, we have unicorns, Next, Pi, and then you have, I will call it also a future unicorns like Coterie and Brisa. I'll give them credit. How do you work with all the different entities, and where do you position yourself? Before we talk about you, it's more about what's your understanding of the industry?
The industry is The industry is super fragmented, right? So it's kind of what I was trying to allude to. So all the organizations or entities or individuals looking to buy coverage are here. There are the brokers here that are trying to advise them, to tell them which carrier to go purchase from. And then you have the other carriers who are saying, well, we're going to go around the broker and go straight to the customer. I think those are the three main buckets. Carriers could also include MGAs, MGUs. In between the broker and the carriers, you could have a wholesaler that is very specialized, but that's really, I think, the main buckets of it. It's my belief that agents and brokers are vital to this entire process because they're the single most independent entity that has very little conflict, if any, when advising their customer. When the carriers go direct to the customer, they're selling the only way they can make money is if they sell one of their products, and they will sell it even if they know it's not in their best interest for the customer. That's a challenge. So that's a challenge that all the carriers that are going direct are going to face. The way around that challenge is to inject something in there like a broker or an advisor who can help the customer understand what they need to know about those policies. And unfortunately, insurance is pretty complicated, right? And it will continue to be complicated, at least in the States. I mean, from a regulatory perspective, until there's one unified regulation, federal regulation that like supersedes all state regulations, I don't see how insurance becomes any less complicated. So that's where the broker can really slot in and help. So the way I see Layr kind of filling in this is like what we're really trying to do is allow for the distribution to that small business owner from any carrier. Meaning once those rails are laid, the customers will realize this is, if you will, the storefront to go obtain the coverage you need. And then the carriers will all connect, regardless if they have APIs. The carriers will all connect, and we could support those carriers who don't have any technological capabilities onto the rail so that their products can be available. And then again, that broker piece is simply a module that sits on top of the rails to advise the customer on which direction they need to go.
Well, this podcast is a pro agent, pro broker, and I love to see the trend that I think what's their names? Broker Tech Ventures, they started an accelerator which is focusing on brokers and what is the technology that can go there. Because when we started, let's call it the first and even the second wave of InsurTech companies, I will put you in the third wave if you don't mind. It was all about disruption. Now we are at the third, if not fourth wave of startups, and we see the first wave exiting. It's good to see that, let's call it, there was some sort of awakening and understanding that, agents, 2 million of them or 1 million, really depends how you count. They are super vital for this industry.
I mean, one. I know it is. I think the challenge, there's a specialization issue in our industry that makes it very challenging for agents to advise on insurance, right? They are the experts, but the really, really fantastic agents tend to focus on a small set of industries, right? Because the insurance policies are all customized, even though they have the same names, right? General liability is the same name for every industry, but it means something completely different between, a medical device company, a software development company, and someone who pours concrete sidewalks. But they're all called GL. So an insurance agency has to understand not only how each one of those policies are written and the differences between them, but what coverage triggers within those policies are actually the important ones for the particular industry. So that specialization issue has made it very, very challenging for small businesses to find coverage. Because to your point, there's 1 million insurance agents in the US, or 2 million, whatever the figure is. But
it's actually, let me correct myself. If I remember correctly, there are 2 million people who work in the insurance industry, and there are about 200,000 licensed agents.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
There's about
Yeah,
30,000 independent agencies in the U.S., so that 200,000 licensed agents makes more sense. But let's just say 200,000. There are 30 million and growing small businesses, right? And then many of those business owners are also doing 1099 contracting work on the side, which is another legal entity, which needs the same type of insurance, just with less commas and zeros. So, I mean, we're looking at potentially, I'm trying to not rounding down 50 plus million small businesses out there that are doing something very unique and different. I mean, not everyone is simply just coming in and hanging drywall. Like that's a hard class to write, but they're doing one thing. You look at the consultant, they could be doing financial accounting, they could do strategy, they could be doing whatever. And the insurance industry is so specialized to each one of those items that this business owner may be doing that it's going to be incredibly challenging for a broker to support them. Even more when you take into account that the policy may only be a few $1,000s, so the commission's a couple $100. So I think that the challenge here is how specialized our industry is, and helping connect those carriers to the customer for their particular needs in a seamless way is how we're going to solve that specialization issue.
I've been a big advocate of embedding insurance. Well, that was my startup for almost 3 years. And the main problem was, as you said, it's the friction is making things seamless. And especially when it comes to agents, if you're writing a GL or a PL for $200 a year, and the commission is going to be what, $12, $15? How much time can you actually spend on that fitness instructor? Zero. Most of the agencies, they will have a threshold of saying, oh, is the premium, the total premium is going to be under 10K. I'm not even touching that. There is no good ROI that I will touch it. And that's where, and I'm repeating, and people who heard me in the past, it's like, oh, he's talking about about efficiency again. And that's where a solution like yours completely makes sense, especially within efficiency and how you help the brokers and agents to be better and focus on what they actually need to do, which is to advise.
Yep, absolutely. So, that 10K premium figure, well, generally speaking, across the U.S., that's usually closer to 50K, right? So client has to be spending $50,000 a year in premium or more for the agency to break even. In Atlanta, it's closer to 75,000. In places like New York or San Francisco, it might be above 125,000, right? But again, tying back to those 30 million small businesses, the vast majority of them spend less than 25K a year. That's why the market's so undersold. Like they literally have dollars that they're saying, I need insurance. I know that I need insurance, but no one knows how to pick it up or take it. But again, the best people to do it are the brokers because they're the most independent. So yeah, that's exactly where our technology slots in and fixes it. So if we, what we did is we built a solution that enables almost a DIY approach for the customer. Like we have all the technology in the background that does the automated advisement, the prediction modeling. They can buy it with a credit card. So that works. Once they're a customer, they can manage all of their insurance online without having to speak to a human if they don't want to. But guess what? If they do, like you can pick up the phone or do a chat. We have licensed insurance agents here ready and willing to help you. Not just to solve your problem, we will, but we're also going to show you how the platform can solve it for you. Because if I'm a business owner, I probably don't want to be fooling around with insurance at 11:15 in the morning when I'm trying to sell something to grow my business. I'd rather do it off business hours. So let's teach them how to use the platform so they can do it after work and do it in about 5 minutes or less. But we stayed focused on that. It made our unit economics very, very, very high per client. And now this is
important part.
Yep. And then this is what we are showing as a value creation to an agency or a brokerage. It is every agency and brokerage, no matter how big or small they are, they have a book of small business customers. And they do not produce enough revenue to justify Well, let's put it this way. The broker cannot provide the level of service that is required and generate a profit. It's just not possible. So with our technology, it will allow them to provide a high level user experience with the service that is required for all businesses and still enable the broker to make a profit. Even with our fee, the brokers are seeing 10 to 30% profit lifts. And I'm not saying like if their profit's 10%, they're going to 13. I'm saying if their profit's 10%, they're going to 40. So like their books of businesses, their small books of businesses are literally being flipped into one of the most profitable sector of their book. And if you look at that from a broker perspective, you can look at that two ways. One, a small broker who may want to get acquired soon, typically that small business book is hacked off because it produces negative profits. So the value of the book is much higher if you get rid of this. Now we can flip it and show how it's profitable and increase their total valuation of their business to be much, much, much greater. And then there's a lot of brokers out there that are looking to acquire and that are using our technology, and they use this as an acquisition tool. They can go to a smaller broker and pay a premium for that brokerage and outbid the other organization that's looking to buy that broker, because they know the second it comes on board, all of that unprofitable small business just gets rolled onto the Layr platform and they get their profits out of it, and they're fine. So
I love it because they. Oh, sorry.
No, that's it. I'm just saying we are doing. I mean, this is kind of we do these financial modeling exercises with all of the brokers that we onboard, and we're talking to the CFOs, the COOs, head of sales, CEOs, and they see how this works. We have proof points to show that it is working, and it basically sells itself at that point.
How did you manage to sell it to your investors? How did they? Now, I know that you have investors that understand insurance. You have Sandbox, you have MGV, and you have a few others. But with the first ones, how did they digested, what you try to do, and also, oh, it's another technology, another digital broker?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Sandbox, Flyover, MGV were not the first investors we were talking to, definitely not the last investors, but they're the ones who understood it, right? InsurTech is definitely heating up, and I can see where a lot of VCs are doing the research so that they don't have to learn how the insurance industry works as they're trying to solicit a new investment. Well, I guess I'm just going to answer your question a different way. What I really loved about folks like Sandbox and MGV and Flyover is that they spent years researching, talking, and speaking to people in the insurance industry before they made their first investment. And that was very clear when I was speaking with them. Mainly the first conversations were about what the actual problem is I was solving and how the solution would do that. It wasn't why the problem existed, why insurance is so complicated. They did the research on the first part. I did. So I guess that to better answer your question, I sold it to people who understood the insurance challenges, also understood like how big of an issue the challenges are in insurance, and they were willing to do it. I did not spend a lot of time, nor did I have the time to educate other investors about the insurance industry and why this is actually a problem and why my solution would actually address it. That was 2 years ago, I guess, at this point when we started that process. The good news is all of those investors have had 2 years to get up to speed. They've seen the acquisitions that have been happening in the insurance industry or InsurTech industry. And, by our investors, Sandbox, Flyover, and MGV, are actively involved with all of the Series A, B, C investors now, and they know very, very clearly which ones we need to talk to because they are at a understanding level at the place we need them to be so that we can just explain what we're doing and why where we're going actually matters.
By talking to, are you talking about other investors or other partners in the industry?
Well, I'm talking about other investors, right? So at some point, we got to go out for a Series A. Partners in the industry, like brokers, like I was a broker.
Just a second. So the 5 million last year, that was your seed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a seed round. So we got to go out for a Series A here sometime soon. But yeah, so I'm talking more about VCs and making sure that the VCs are up to date on what's going on and they fully understand what's going on in the small commercial insurance world. That is a prerequisite for us to speak with anybody. You have to know what's going on. And the thing is, we can figure out whether or not you know that probably in the first 15 minutes. It's just they're just very common things that are easy to tell. On the other side, selling this to like brokers and carriers and other partners, it's pretty, again, that was pretty, I don't want to say simple. But the financial models that we built for the broker partners really resonated. So when they saw the technology, they 15-minute demo, they're like, yeah, I get how this works. Totally. Then we show them the financial model. And they're like, okay, that's really interesting. The hardest part really is independent agencies and independent brokers have partners, right? And the partners have to vote. So that's probably been the biggest challenge, is that we will typically have, a champion in the broker we're trying to onboard, but then we got to sell, 2 to 4 other people, maybe 10 other people. If we can get an audience with them, we can quickly go through the financial model, show them the tech, show them an example of something that's online, and they very, very quickly get it. There's still challenges that we have to overcome, but the biggest one is, especially with COVID, can we get everybody in a room at the same time to go through it and ask their questions?
No, dude, that's very interesting. I love that challenge. I'm just imagining, you're coming in, not as that cool, disruptive SF startup, but yeah, I'm an agent or a broker that came in and I have this cool technology behind me, right?
Yeah. I mean, so the other way we can sell this, which is actually pretty useful too, is if you look at, let's put it this way, insurance brokers have a target on their back from every angle. They got it from the InsurTechs, who think if they go out and raise $15 million, they can go direct and rule the world in insurance. They're getting it from folks who are creating carriers that go direct. We have traditional carriers who are going direct. Now we have financial organizations or financial software companies partnering with InsurTechs or creating their own insurance industry or insurance agency to try to sell insurance through their accounting software. So the target is on their back. Using Layr doesn't only massively increase your profitability and increase the efficiencies and open up a new revenue stream for you. That's all positive stuff. We're also a really, really good defense mechanism against the next InsurTech or accounting software or digital carrier who wants to go direct, because now we can offer the same digital solution with all of your carriers, not just one, so that your clients get the experience that they're demanding and they're seeing in the marketplace. And that's really going to require for them to move at that point, your customer, for a digital carrier or another digital broker to have a user experience that is at least 10 times greater than what we have. And yes, I'm biased, but I think,
of course, yeah.
The functionality that we provide to the customer is unmatched in the marketplace, because it gives them all of the tools and understanding of what they need to do, and they don't have to call someone. They don't ever have to talk to anybody if they don't want to.
So what will happen in the next couple of years? What's your plan?
Yeah, our plan is to finish that last piece of the insurance rails, right? So we've connected, we've proven that customers buy the way we've offered it. That's the first part. We're proving out, essentially proven that we can now deliver it to the customers through the brokers. And then the final part is, and we're having these we're having these discussions right now, is can we connect it with the carrier all the way to the customer and then make the broker a module on top of that, which is important for that. By doing it that way, it does allow us to work with anybody, even the digital carriers, right? The digital carriers don't want a broker, that's fine. But if we have a broker that is a module on here and the customer wants to go through a broker, well, we have that functionality too. So again, we are staying focused on what the customer wants, and we allow all of the stakeholders in the insurance value chain to connect to our rails and deliver their value in a very seamless and efficient way.
So for the audience now, which usually are insurance companies and other players, I would say less on the agency side, who would you like to contact you and what would be the topic? And how should they reach out to you?
Yeah, if it's insurance companies, so we're actively putting partnerships together with insurance companies to really bring their products to market in a digital fashion, right? And I'm not just again, no API required. We can bring you to market digitally, without an API. So if you are an insurance carrier that is looking to expand your reach into the small commercial space and deliver a product digitally, we'd love to do that, because we could do it direct to your customers if you want to, or we could even do it through your preferred broker partners. That's what we want out of carriers right now. We want to be able to get, all of the carriers, the big, there's probably near 10 of them now, but big 10 insurance companies that have the technology, as well as the other 5,000 insurance companies around the world that have zero technology. We want to bring them into one central location so that the customer has the easiest ability to procure the coverage that they need.
So I was about to say, last question, and let's talk about, recommendation, which is the question that I usually ask at the end. But before that, you talked about, and you mentioned that earlier on, you bring products to life without the API. Can we talk about partnership with Coterie and this stuff, or is it not public yet?
We're bringing that live with one of our broker partners. Mm-hmm. So in this case, we're using a Coterie API that runs on our rails through our broker to the customer.
So the question here will be, so you're doing that without API. Coterie, they are all about the API and building that infrastructure of infrastructure. That's my understanding. That sounds like a good merge.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing is, if they have the APIs, we can definitely use them. What I'm saying is there are thousands of insurance companies that have zero APIs that provide a fantastic insurance product. And being of the mindset that we need to support the client, we need to get those products in front of those customers digitally. So Coterie does a great job, right? Very great API, and they offer some good products. But what about all the other products that Coterie doesn't offer right now for that same customer we're going after? And maybe it's not one of the other digital carriers that has it. Maybe it's not one of the big carriers that have their own APIs. Maybe it's a Lloyd's of London product that has zero technology outside of email. How do we connect that digitally to this customer? And that's where we slot in there. So we can leverage all, call it, InsurTech 1.0, which is the APIs, but we're also kind of bringing to market the next piece, which is digitizing insurance products from any carrier, anywhere, regardless of their technology capabilities. And by doing that, again, it supports the people who are saying, here are my dollars, I want your insurance. We need to support the small business owners. Otherwise, nothing else matters.
Okay, so you brought up Lloyd's. Do you remember the name of that falafel that we used to go to?
One falafel.
it was like £3 for, or £5 for a great falafel and a soft drink. Yeah. No, that was.
It was amazing. I gained so much weight off that.
No, it was Jordanian or something like that, and I forgot the name of that neighborhood because you lived basically northeast to the city.
So the second time we were there, we were in Shortage. The second time.
That's the second time. We met in the first time.
First time was Whitechapel.
Yes. And later on, you upgraded to Shortridge, you and the hipsters, and that explained the beard.
Yeah. I mean, I'd never been to London before. Funny, before that trip, I'd never been outside of the country by myself. So I just decided to take a 3-month trip on myself. My wife is still mad at me for that, but it's working out, thank God. Whitechapel was great. It was a long walk. It was not the nicest place in the world, but neither are many places. Shortage was cool, but man, it was loud. But that falafel place, I was there every day for lunch. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. I miss London a lot. I'd love to get back there.
Yeah, that was fun. But you were, I think, one of the only people who stayed there the entire time for the almost 3 months. That was 10 weeks. Well, I don't remember actually. How long was it?
So it was early October through December 15th. So I was there for 2 months, came home for 2 weeks, went back for a week and a half, I think.
And I tried to, introduce your kids to English candy. I was talking with Ed Gaze was a guest on the show as well, and I kept confusing Maltesers and Smarties. Smarties are like the M&Ms, while Maltesers, I don't know if there is something like that in the US. And there were a couple of other Cadbury's snacks and chocolates.
Yeah, I mean, we would. I'd always go buy that. Because of you, I ended up buying so much more of the stuff. The second time I was out there for the kids, I always wanted all the stuff that was in that grocery store down the street. It was a really neat time. The Layr of London thing is on. I think it's still on the window in the Lloyd's lab.
There is a good chance. I don't see the McKinsey people who were there later on just taking it off.
I think they just put a piece of paper over it because I had some stuff.
There is a good chance. Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. I would, if you have a picture of it, I would love to see it. We would. I might make a logo out of it and put it on our office window.
I need to check if I have it. I think that I sent it to you on Slack once. But let's wrap the podcast. And because it's been fun. So every time or every episode at the end of the podcast, I ask for a recommendation. It can be a book, a TV show, life hack, whatever you feel like.
Mm-hmm.
What's your recommendation?
I would say what I'm doing right now. I would say if you can get back to an office as soon as possible. I think people will actually enjoy the drive or commute just because it's a clear delineation between home life and work life, and you can either prepare for the day during that time frame, or you can kind of come down from the day before you bring it home into the house. So there's some other benefits as well as being in the office, but personally for me, just that commute has been a great way to get ready for what's next.
Mental reset or almost meditation, that commute to work.
Or commute back to home. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Really important. I've been working in my kids' playroom for the last year, so walking out of the office playroom at 6:30, going to sit down for dinner, your head's just too spun up. It's just too spun up, or at least mine is. So the 20 minutes it takes me to get home now is a nice decompression time.
Philip, thank you very much for your time and for joining me today.
Absolutely. It's great to see you again, man.
Likewise, I know it's been a while. Hopefully we'll be in Atlanta soon. Now that we are vaccinated, I'm still not that eager to go on a plane, but I can't wait.